Thanks for staying with us. You're still on to Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA. Let's now turn our attention to our second conversation this morning, the African Biblical Leadership Initiative, IBLI, was born in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia during a special African Union prayer breakfast by African heads of state and government in 2010.
And this was after the initial conference at Addis Ababa, and it was resolved that the annual conference should move around to other African nations.
Yes, and so in 2012, the ABLI conference was held at Kampala, Uganda. Joining us here to speak more on this is Major General Chris Olukolade, is the member 2024 ABLI International Conference National Planning Committee. General Olukolade, you are welcome to Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you so much, and good morning, Nigerians.
It's a pleasure to have you join us. And also joining us here in the studio is Honorable Mrs. Laurentia Laraba Malam. She's a member 2024 ABLI International Conference National Planning Committee also. You're welcome to Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you.
Okay, let's kickstart a conversation with General Olukolade. Yes. Is it Olukolade or Olukolade?
Olukolade.
Olukolade, yes, I got it. Now, let's look at the genesis of the African Biblical Leadership Initiative. Tell us about the genesis, how it all began.
Well, in 2010, there was a meeting of heads of states in Addis Ababa. And as an aside of that conference, there was this meeting, breakfast meeting of leaders of thought that were part of that conference. And the essence was to discuss value-based leadership with biblical background. And after that, it was concluded that this was a good initiative that should hold from time to time. And since then, it has held in different African capitals, such as Kigali, Accra, Uganda, Kampala, and many other places. Nigeria was actually to host it in 2020, but as a result of the COVID situation, it had to be postponed. And this year, Nigeria is hosting the conference.
Okay, tell us some of the objectives. What exactly are some of the objectives of this?
Well, as already suggested by the name, African Biblical Leadership Initiative, the essence is to have value-based leadership that trusts in the values of biblical standards in terms of people believing in the value that should inform leadership. We know we have so much of that in the Bible, and it could be a model for leaders to offer good leadership to their people. It talks of good governance, the ideas of transparency, and if you look at the theme for this year, value-based leadership, that is sourced from the scriptures in the book of Philippians chapter 4 verse 8, where it says, "Finally, my brethren, whatsoever is true, whatsoever is just, whatsoever is of good report, whatsoever is honest, think on these things. If there be any virtue," and such things kind of give us an idea of the essence of biblical leadership.
Okay, thank you so much. Let's bring in Honorable Mrs. Laurentia into this conversation. Can you tell us about the conference itself? And I'm aware it begins today. So who is attending this conference and where is it holding?
Thank you very much. The conference is holding in Abuja at the NAV Conference Center. It's supposed to kick-start this morning, opening session, arrival of dignitaries, and so on and so forth. So right now, by 9 o'clock, I think they should start, arriving. And we hope that Nigerians will key in. You heard what the general has said. We want to sensitize the public about good leadership as is entrenched in the Constitution and the Bible. By so doing, the masses, the citizens of the country will benefit from God's endowed riches and so on and so forth. And when people are happy and when people are comfortable with their leaders and with what is obtained in the country, there will be peace. And when there is peace, then there is progress and development.
So what's the goal? What do you intend to achieve with this conference now?
We intend to bring leaders together to let them know that God has created the universe and has given us all the riches to share evenly to everybody. But you can see that some leaders, some countries, the richness is there, but the people are suffering. There should be no poverty. And so this is why the organizers, the leaders then in Addis Ababa, when they sat down, they were inspired to say, look, we have a rich continent, but our people are suffering. God has blessed our continent. So what is the way forward? We lack leadership. So this is why, they started, and it has been going around as he has started. It has gone to about 5, 6 countries now in Nigeria, and after this session, next year it will move to another country.
Okay, thank you very much, madam. General, you talked about the value of leadership, and we know that one of the major challenges that we have in this part of the world is the problem of leadership, and everybody can attest to that. When you talk about leadership, what are the attributes of leadership that are lacking, in us, and how can we begin to reorientate, our mindset?
Well, I will take you back to the main theme of this conference in particular. It talks of value-based leadership, biblical standards. It also anchors on the scripture, which I quoted earlier, Philippians chapter 4, verse 8, where it talks of honesty, justice, virtue, purity, and love. Most of these are clearly lacking in diverse areas of leadership. And by the way, leadership is in various strata of society, right from family to business and other areas. And that's why this conference will be attracting people who've had experience in leadership, people who are in leadership, and people who are well knowledgeable about value-based leadership. It's not going to focus mainly on people in leadership at the moment. We're also going to pay attention to the future. There's going to be a youth aspect of the program, which will be a whole day. And at that, they will be influenced by people who have had experience. People invited for this conference are not just political leadership across society, including even the religious leadership. People who are in various areas of leadership are expected to be influenced by this conference. Like Honorable mentioned earlier, at the beginning it was noted to have been a very good influence that should spread. At this time, maybe it's the opportunity of Nigerians to benefit from the virtue of people who have had experience. We'll be having people speak in this conference, such as the former Chief Justice of South Africa, who is also a beneficiary of such teachings, and many others, legal luminaries, academicians, theologians, people of varied backgrounds, will be drawing from biblical examples and the virtues of leadership to share opinion and idea in this conference.
Okay, General, I want to ask, because a lot of people, when you say leadership, their main focus is usually at the topmost level, the presidential level, the governorship level, or the local government or national assembly. They've forgotten that at every strata, at every level, you are also a leader. So who exactly is a leader? Because when you talk to the man on the street, it's like, don't you think that you are a leader? I say, no, 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 they're our leaders, our leaders. What about you? So can you just, explain what leadership is and who exactly is a leader so that, we begin to change that all of us, in one way or the other, we are leading. You understand? I hope you get what my question is.
From your explanation, it's clear you know that leadership is a very vast subject. Vast in the sense that I think we're still learning even about it. But maybe in simple terms, a leader is someone who has influence.
Okay.
Influence that can give direction to people to achieve particular results in the interest, beginning from the family. When a child is growing, he needs the parents to show him the way of how to live in the society as found himself, to achieve particular objective of success. And the same way, even in organizations, there are people who have understanding of where society should be moving at a particular time. And they deploy that knowledge in guiding those who listen to them, people who look up to them. Anyone who can influence another is a leader. And by influence, we mean who can guide, who can correct, encourage, and give direction. And, it begins with vision. Somebody who has an idea of where we should be going. And quite often we relate that to vision. And if somebody who's going to be a leader must have vision. The Bible says, for instance, people perish when they have no vision. And if there is vision for a society, those who understand it, and that's why leadership also requires understanding. You must understand what is it to be achieved, what is it to be realized by society, by family, by government, by business outfit. And now we're seeing how can we take biblical models to influence this understanding. Because we have seen people, various leaders in the Bible who succeeded. We have seen various leaders who also failed. We have seen leaders who lead in war. We have seen leaders who lead in peacetime. And these models can be of use even in these times.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Let me bring in Honorable Laurentia into the conversation now. Is the conference open to other people of faith?
Yes, it is. No. People have been invited, Muslim leaders, market women, the youths, the civil society. And when you call the civil society, they have mixed religious backgrounds. So everybody that can make things work for the benefit of the country is invited. It's not restricted.
Okay. So where do you think where do you think the gaps are in leadership, in Nigeria and in the Nigerian leadership model, and how should they be corrected?
I think perhaps maybe we got it wrong after the independence. In the 60s, 70s, 80s, things were done properly. Things were taught, in the home, in the school, in the society, and everybody was each other's keeper. But from the 90s, 2000, a lot has changed. You cannot correct another person's child. I don't know, that's why I said we got it wrong. We have derailed. And so the organizers, have seen that, yes, we have to come back and see where we started, where we are going, and how we can bring everybody together so that you know what is good for the country. That's why I said the civil societies, you know, they have their followers, and when they listen to what we have to discuss today, then they'll go back. And then the youths, like General has said, we have youth assembly. They have outlined their own program on what they want and how they should, you know, behave, and how they will interact with government to get what they want. So it's going to be a very beautiful and powerful conference for everybody to come in and, you know, benefit from.
Okay, Madam, from what you just said now, in the past, we used to have this community lifestyle.
That's right.
That has a lot of value that you can, you know, reach out to other people. Would you say it's the global influence that has actually affected us in this country?
I want to believe that. I want to believe that because we copy things, forgetting the culture, you know. The culture, when you have, you share. Like even in the Bible, you know, that's why we are talking about the Bible. The early Christians, you know, didn't own anything. They shared what they had.
That's community lifestyle.
Yes. And during when we were growing up too, when you cook food, you know, you eat in the home and then you also share to your neighbors. But with time, maybe, I don't know what affected us, and everybody is just keeping to himself. There's no good social harmony, you know, among each others. And so this conference is saying, let us come back. Let us come back and look at, you know, you can see the evil, the vices that, you know, youths are, you know, into.
Okay, thank you very
You
much.
talked about there's a youth section of the conference. Let
That's
me bring in General Olukwalade into the conversation. The youths are there. They constitute 70% of Nigeria's population. So how will this summit, in its own way, address the degrading value system in our society today?
Thank you. It will be by influence. I would say the essence is to influence. There will be a cross-section of youths who are already prepared. So, there will be youth corpers in attendance, students. They will form the youth assembly. At the youth assembly, they will be addressed by people who've had experience. Experience in terms of how society should be organized to achieve results. Not only that, we believe that some of them are already participating in the conference from day one. This conference will be talking about the values of justice, the value of wisdom, the value of, you know, transparency, the value of social harmony. You heard her talking about, you know, how society used to be organized. We'll bring up the subjects of social harmony. And apart from having listened to the speakers from day one, that day will be free for them to interact, to cross-fertilize ideas, and even interact with many speakers, and perhaps bring up their own fears. So it's the conference supposed to be all-embracing, and you will benefit from experience of people who have passed through the same way, and see which one could be adopted. The essence of this conference is to influence. We believe that those who participate should be able to influence their colleagues. With that number, something will start with the youth population.
Okay, all right, sir. Because of time, in just 30 seconds, what are your expectations? What should we expect from this conference?
From this conference, we expect that values in terms of understanding will improve, and people will be privileged to listen to those who have passed through the way. We're expecting current leaders, past leaders, will-be leaders to have contact with the idea that will be shared in this conference. And they are not just Nigerian ideas, these are global ideas. Okay. And like the question you asked earlier, what's the impact of globalization? Now, if we're talking of value-based model for Africa, what we're seeing, what we can draw that could benefit the future from the current globalization, and what we could draw from the past to have a better future.
Okay, Major General Chris Olukolade is a member 2024 ABLI International Conference National Planning Committee. Thank you so much for coming to raise awareness about the conference.
Thank you so much.
And Honorable Mrs. Laurentia Larabomalam, member 2024 ABLI International Conference National Planning Committee also. It's been a pleasure having you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Well, that's Good Morning Nigeria for today, being the first day of the week. Thanks for joining us. I am Ademola Adeoye.
And I am Jumo Yusuf. Another interesting edition of Good Morning Nigeria awaits you tomorrow. Do have a wonderful day ahead.